Hello, welcome to the When I Have Spare Time podcast. My name is Frank, and I'll be sitting here talking to you for a few minutes. As usual, I'm wearing clothes. I'm wearing a Naruto shirt. It's one of my favorite anime. Um, I don't know why it's my favorite anime, but it just is. Probably because it has a few female characters I want to sleep with. I don't know if I should be admitting that I want to sleep with a cartoon character, but here I am. Wow, life is going great. So anyway, you guys hear about Jamie Foxx? He's like partially paralyzed and blind because he got a blood clot from getting the vaccine. He suffered a vaccine injury, and basically his life is ruined. Um, I I do not understand why a healthy young person would get the vaccine. Um, I mean, I just don't understand. Um, I mean, how? Okay, now listen. There's two types of doctors. There's the doctors that were silenced during this whole you know China virus thing, and then there were the doctors, the medical people who were allowed to speak. Okay, so there's two camps, and they both had different agendas. Obviously, this whole thing was political. Obviously, this whole thing was a power grab. Big corporations made billions of dollars. Okay, certain people won elections because of this, because they got to shut down polling places and they got to collect ballots. You know, so there's a reason why. But here's the thing: when it comes to medicine, science in general, just opinions in general, the people who are being told to shut up, the people who are being silenced, those are the people I listen to, for sure. Those are the people I listen to, because most decisions made by the government anyway, made by the medical industry, are not in your favor. They are in the favor of making money. So your health means nothing to them. So so from day one, I did not listen to anything the government said. I didn't listen to anything the CDC said, the WHO, the potato we have for a president. I didn't listen to any of these people. But everyone who was silenced, I listened to. And if you remember, well, you probably don't remember, but when this whole thing first happened, there was a group of couple groups, but there's one particular group of like Scandinavian doctors, I think, and they wrote an open letter saying, basically saying, you know, live healthy, just common sense stuff, because it's we're fighting a type of flu virus, because that's what it is. It's a flu virus, and they were just like, live healthy. I'm really paraphrasing it, and like stay active, and you don't need the experimental vaccine. And it was an open letter, and basically everything that we did the opposite of that letter, and of course more people died from the lockdowns than actual flu that went around. But anyway, so because I listened to the people that were silenced, me and my family had a relatively, stress-free lockdown. The only thing that bothered us was we weren't allowed in certain places. We were discriminated against because we refused to take the experimental drug and didn't want to wear masks. So and to this day, at least I don't go to those places that refuse to let me inside, because I couldn't show proof that I was a sheep. I mean, took the vaccine. And I was saying, throughout that time, it's gonna take someone famous to actually get seriously hurt or die from the vaccine before it actually gets spoken about publicly. That like, publicly by the mainstream media. I mean, like several media outlets have talked about this, but it's like the mainstream media doesn't. But now that Jamie Foxx has actually suffered a debilitating injury from getting the vaccine, they have to talk about it. So, I mean, I'm not happy that Jamie got hurt, but at least it won't be in vain. You know, it's because that's what it takes. Like it takes people like Kyrie Irving to like say, no, I'm not putting this crap in my body. I don't care what you do. But he's in the position where he can afford not to work, and then that's I feel bad for the people who were like forced, and I love how the president said, well, we didn't force anyone to take the vaccine. Well, if you're like some schmuck working a job and your job is the only thing keeping your wife and kids off the street, yeah, you're kind of being forced to take the vaccine. And then anyway, the one thing I don't like about well, there's many things I don't like about Joe Biden, but the one thing that irks me is when he was like, oh yeah, we're not gonna mandate the vaccine, and then like 2 weeks later they mandate the vaccine because who's making money off of this? If you mandate it, you're forcing millions of people to get it, and who makes money off of this? The medical industry, and I'm sure Joe Biden got a kickback from that. There's a lot of corrupt things going on with the Biden family, but anyway, I just don't understand why people are still getting the shot. And also, it's not a vaccine because a vaccine cures things. I guess we changed the definition of vaccine. Because, like, I got the polio vaccine when I was a child. You know why? Because it cures, it stops, it prevents the spread of polio. So I got the vaccine. I got the measles vaccine. You know why? Because it prevents you from getting the measles. Those are vaccines. Whatever this thing they put out is not a vaccine because it doesn't stop the spread, it doesn't cure anything, but it does line the pockets of the corporations. But anyway, the whole point of this is I just found out that my aunt is on her 7th shot. You know? I guess she's a pincushion. She's on her 7th dose. I'm shocked. I mean, I'm shocked she's still alive. Jesus Christ. That's like playing Russian roulette 7 times. I can't believe she took the shot. 7 times, though. Here's the thing. I don't know now, but, she was a healthy woman. So I don't know what she was worried about. It's the flu, and you're gonna take 7 flu shots, basically. And think about it. If you have to take 7 shots, obviously it doesn't work. You gotta come to a point. It's like, man, I'm on my 12th booster shot. Well, maybe I should, come on, 7 shots. And then she's bragging about it, like she's doing the world a service. Like, no, you're an idiot. Stop watching CNN. Stop being lied to. Wake up. Listen to the people that were silenced. Those people are telling you the truth because they're not doing this stuff for profit. They actually do have some people in the medical industry that actually care about you and want people to get better and don't care about the money. I know there's not that many, but there are people that exist on this planet that aren't motivated by money, who aren't pawns of evil corporations, who aren't pawns of the mainstream media, the legacy media. You know? There are some people who don't sell their soul to the medical industry. I know it's few and far between, but I just can't believe that my aunt is on her seventh shot. Like, don't you think by shot number four you should be like, yeah, I guess this doesn't work if I have to keep taking it every 2 months or whatever. It just makes no sense. Like, when do you ever take 7 flu shots? For those of you that don't know, the SARS, it's the flu. It's the same thing. It's just a different kind of flu. Well, it's a man-made flu, obviously. We're dealing with a man-made flu, and you're taking 7 shots on this. Like, come on now. The only people who were dropping dead were fat people and people who had like 5 other things wrong with them. Survival of the fittest. This this was population control at its finest, and it showed you who's a sheep and who's not. That's all that happened. But anyway, I can't wait for the next man-made virus and watch the same shit happen. Everyone's gonna do what the government says, and then there's gonna be more damage done to the people that listen instead of the people who are the free thinkers. And then we're just gonna, because history repeats itself. Human beings are very stupid. How many times has the government lied to you, but yet you still do what the government says? Think about that. How many times has the government lied to you, but you still do what the government says? Make that make sense. Sheep don't get it. I learned a long time ago not to trust the government. I think with me it was actually I stopped trusting the government back when Reagan was president, when he let all the crazy people out on the streets and closed down all the mental institutions. That's when I stopped trusting the government. I know everyone says Reagan was a great president, but I don't think so. Not when that bullshit happens. You got to put America first. You got to take care of the average Joe Jane American. Like the biological male, biological female, mentally stable, doesn't have 16 genders, raises the American flag, not the rainbow flag. That kind of American, the most common American. Okay, the most common American is affected by shit like that. So like when Reagan closed down the mental institutions and made the streets that much safer, that's when I stopped trusting the government, because that's when I'm like, hey, the government doesn't have my best interest in mind, and that's all it took. And then as the years went on, it got I can it's not like I'm paying attention because I don't pay attention anymore. But like you had George Bush talking about Iraq with the weapons of mass destruction, which didn't exist. So the people old enough to remember that, you still trust the government after that big lie? Because I was not trusting them with the closure of the mental institutions, but then I don't know. There's just so many examples each person gives, because we're all different ages. You can name something that the government lied to you about. You're like, oh, whoa. It's like, how many times you're gonna hear about a cover up from the FBI or the CIA, and it comes out years later? How many of those do you have to hear until you're like, man, I just don't trust these people? How many times do you have to hear about your tax dollars being wasted on other countries, but yet your country sucks? Sent hundreds of billions to other countries, but we can't spend a couple of billion to end homelessness, because you could with a couple of. I mean, we've sent hundreds of billions to other countries. We can't use a billion to end homelessness. You could, but we don't. So why would you trust the government like that? Just makes no sense. Our tax dollars are just being used by these people, and they're not doing anything to help us. Anyway, that's how it is. And so, America's still a great country. It's just, I guess the best out of the worst, I guess. You know? It's the kind of country where, if you got money, yeah, you're cool. You can, have an affluent life. But the average American doesn't have that. So, the average, once again, the average Jane, average Joe, the biological man, biological woman without any mental disorders, flying the American flag, that person's suffering. And that person needs to stop listening to the government. Homeschool your kids. Stop taking shots. Do what you think is best for you. Anyway, I've said enough. You guys have a good one. Peace.